There's this huge question, isn't there? What actually happens after we die?
Yeah, it's the ultimate unknown for
Right.
us.
And most stories, well, they treat it as the absolute end.
Yeah.
But in Dragon Ball, it's like death is often just step one.
Exactly. It's just the start of a whole new adventure, or sometimes, yeah, just a ton of cosmic paperwork.
Yeah.
It opens up this incredible, kind of complex, unseen side of their universe. We've pulled together a bunch of articles, research notes, trying to really map this out
Okay.
to figure out, what happens to souls, where they actually go, and this whole cosmic structure that governs everything beyond life.
So our mission for this deep dive then is basically cut through all that vastness.
Yeah, find the really key nuggets, where souls end up, how this whole spiritual hierarchy works,
Got it.
and our journey into these other realms. Well, it really begins right at the ultimate cosmic checkpoint.
Okay, right. The check-in station.
Hmm.
According to the sources, like every single soul has to pass through there after they die.
That's the first stop. Think of it as the universe's busiest bureaucratic hub for the dead.
And the guy in charge, King Yemma.
King Yemma. He's an ogre, but he definitely stands out.
How so?
Well, the research describes his look. He's a different color than the usual ogres. He's got this beard, the horned helmet,
Yeah.
and he is just absolutely massive.
Right, the size thing is key.
Totally. His desk is apparently like 3 times taller than Goku. And get this, Goku could fit inside one of the drawers.
Wow, okay, that visual.
Yeah.
Yeah, that tells you the scale he's operating on, the sheer volume of souls.
Exactly. And his job, his fundamental role, it's vital. He's the grand arbiter. He decides heaven or hell.
It's this essential, but also kind of weirdly administrative process, isn't it? Endless lines, stamps, papers rustling.
Divine judgment meets like eternal filing.
Yeah, he's the foundation of their spiritual order, basically,
Mhm.
making sure souls go where they're supposed to.
But Yemma himself, he's more than just a cosmic desk jockey.
Oh, absolutely. What the sources really highlight is his strength. He has to be strong enough to keep control, right?
He easily overpowers Raditz power level 1200, remember, with this thing called the Yemma lock.
Which basically looks like a headlock.
Pretty much. We don't know a lot about it beyond that. And his power levels, they vary a bit in guides, 1300 here, 2600 there.
But the key thing seems to be his place in the hierarchy. Strong enough for the job, but Kami specifically says King Kai is stronger.
Exactly. It puts his power in perspective within that bigger structure. And he's got this legendary status before Goku even showed up.
Oh, yeah.
He was apparently the only one who'd done certain things, like beating Guz, catching Mez, finishing Snakeway, escaping Princess Snake's palace.
Wow, okay, so he's not just sitting behind a desk. He's been around the Otherworld block.
Definitely shows his capability within those realms.
He also sounds like he has a bit of a temper, despite the, bureaucracy.
Oh, yeah. Described as impatient, easily angered. Like, remember that incident with Kami yelled at him for holding up the line?
Even jokingly threatened the Guardian of Earth with hell.
Shows he's not afraid to throw his weight around, even if kind of half joking. But yeah, you're right. The sources also show his good side.
How so?
Well, he treated Goku pretty decently, considering, tolerated his manners or lack thereof, and he was willing to listen despite the pressure.
And he's smart, too, like making these calls that aren't just simple good versus evil.
The Deborah thing is a perfect example. Sending him to heaven because hell would have been what? Fun for him.
That's some clever cosmic psychology right there, ensuring actual torment.
And we see his importance again and again, letting Goku train with King Kai.
Sending Cell to hell.
Allowing Vegeta back temporarily.
And, huge one, granting Goku's wish to reincarnate Kid Buu as Yub. That had massive implications.
Definitely. And even more recently, in Super, remember, he was key in letting Goku go get Frieza from Hell for the Tournament of Power.
Right, and gave Goku temporary responsibility for him, but only outside of Earth.
Which brings up that interesting idea running through the sources, that maybe where you die dictates your specific afterlife location, or at least who oversees it.
Like, dying on Earth puts you under Yemma's jurisdiction.
It kind of seems that way, yeah. Adds another layer to his role. He's a fascinating character, really, rooted in mythology like Yama or Enma.
And shares voice actors with Mr. Satan, which is always fun trivia.
Always. So, okay. That's the gatekeeper, the initial sorting hat, if you will.
So once Yemma makes the call, where do souls actually go?
Okay, so if you're like one of the worthy ones heading for more training,
Yeah.
your path is legendary. The Great Serpent Road, Snakeway.
Yes. Famously long.
Impossibly long, yeah. And treacherous. The research suggests that's deliberate. It's a test, to weed out the week before they reach, well, King Kai.
And the prize at the end of that nightmare road trip.
King Kai's planet, which, looks kind of silly at first. Tiny planet, crazy high gravity, lots of gags.
But so important.
Huge significance, yeah. It's where Goku learns the Kaioken, the spirit bomb, techniques that literally save the universe multiple times.
It really hammers home that the afterlife isn't just about resting. It's a place for growth, for training.
And like we said, King Kai is explicitly stronger than Yemma, so that reinforces his position higher up the ladder.
Okay, so training path aside, what are the main destinations? Heaven and hell.
Pretty much. Heaven or paradise is kind of what you'd expect. Serene, beautiful, peaceful place for the good souls. Eternal bliss, basically.
Standard afterlife stuff.
Yeah.
But hell, Dragon Ball's hell is different.
And that's where it gets interesting. It's not always, fire and brimstone, though we see bits of that. But later stuff, especially like Resurrection F and Super, focuses more on psychological torment.
Like Frieza, trapped in that cocoon with all the cute fairies and stuffed animals singing.
Exactly. That's the perfect example. It's an inescapable prison designed to break your spirit, not just punish your body.
It reflects that whole cosmic balance karma idea. Actions have eternal consequences.
Though it's worth pointing out, the research definitely flags inconsistencies here.
How so?
Well, between different sources, like anime filler versus the manga or super canon, especially on whether villains keep their bodies in hell or if they're just souls or stuck in things like Frieza's cocoon.
Ah, okay. So the details shift a bit depending on what you're watching or reading.
Yeah. And another difference that pops up, Earth's hell in Resurrection F and Super is apparently run by these angels of hell, not the ogres we saw in some older anime filler. So yeah, the lore can get a bit tangled.
Good to know. So there's Yemma, King Kai. Does this hierarchy keep going up?
Oh, yeah. Above King Kai, you've got the Grand Kai's planet. This oversees the 4 quadrant Kais, like King Kai.
So bigger jurisdiction.
Right. It's described as larger, more advanced, a place for even greater knowledge, and it's where they held the Otherworld tournament in the anime filler.
Okay.
And this chain just keeps going. Hints of countless other dimensions, the Supreme Kais. Higher and higher layers of cosmic management.
Which eventually takes us to the absolute top.
To the very apex, yeah. Residing completely outside the normal multiverse structure is Zeno's palace.
The King.
Zeno, yeah. Him, the Grand Priest, the angels. These are beings of just absolute ultimate authority.
They seem so detached, almost ethereal compared to the Kais.
Totally. They oversee entire universes, not just galaxies or quadrants. And their power, it's almost impossible to grasp.
The sources mention Zeno erasing realities.
On a whim. He erased multiple universes during the Tournament of Power. He erased the entire future timeline's multiverse to stop infinite Zamasu. Just gone.
That terrifying power.
It is. And these realms, Zeno's palace, they aren't afterlife realms in the way we think of heaven or hell. There's no judgment based on deeds there.
It's just power.
Dimensions of raw, almost unexplained power. It shows forces exist far beyond anything mortals or even most deities in the other world can really comprehend.
Okay, wow. So let's try and pull these threads together. This whole otherworld system.
Yeah.
It's got lots of names, right? Underworld, next dimension, cosmos.
Yeah, basically it's the afterlife plane, but it's also where these higher deities live.
And how do the dead usually appear there?
Well, the research suggests most souls just become spirits, sort of wispy forms, but there's a big exception for great heroes.
Like Goku, Vegeta.
Right. They get to keep their physical bodies. And sometimes villains do too, though that's where some of the inconsistencies pop up.
And they get halos. Or sometimes those glowing orbs, depending on the dub.
Exactly. Little visual cue that they're deceased but still, physically present.
Can living people get there?
Yep. Instant transmission is one way, and fortune teller Baba, she can ferry people back and forth. For a price, of course.
Of course.
And temporary revivals, like with the Dragon Balls, let people come back to the living world, sometimes bypassing rules about keeping bodies and stuff. We even see bodiless souls just hanging around the check-in station sometimes.
Right. And another huge function you mentioned, reincarnation.
Crucial aspect. Souls can be cleansed, apparently, and reborn. Yum's the absolute prime example.
Because Goku specifically asked Yemma to make sure Kid Buu was reincarnated as a good person.
Exactly. That wish set it all in motion. And later stuff, like game material, even mentions the idea of maybe reincarnating Android 21, which raises all sorts of questions about artificial life and souls.
Okay, so digging into all this, the sources definitely point out some weird wrinkles, right? Exceptions, contradictions.
Oh yeah, it's where the lore gets really interesting and sometimes a bit messy. Like, people killed by demons, like King Piccolo.
Right.
Apparently they get stuck in limbo, can't pass over properly.
Weird.
And they can apparently make replacement bodies if needed. Chiatsu got one. Tien got his arm replaced after dying.
Wait, really? Huh.
Yeah, and deities like the Kais, Supreme Kais, they seem to play by different rules for moving between realms than dead mortals do.
That makes sense, given their roles. What about destroying souls? Is that possible?
That's a big point of conflict in the sources. Some early anime filler suggested, yeah, souls could be destroyed, but later stuff, especially Super, introduces Hakai energy.
The god of destruction's power.
Right, and that can explicitly destroy souls, permanently. Dr. Mascherito from Dr. Slump, when he showed up as a ghost, Beru's just Hakai'd him. Gone.
Wow. First confirmed soul destruction by Hakai.
Yeah. And of course, Zeno erasing a whole universe that takes care of everything, souls included.
Then there's the whole messy business of androids and cyborgs in the afterlife.
Huge can of worms. How do androids even get there? Do they have souls? How do cyborgs like Dr. Gero or modified beings like Cooler or Frieza after his reconstruction keep those forms?
Any explanations offered?
Some game sources hint at things like Dr. Gero's soul link system, maybe creating artificial souls for his creations, which allows them into the otherworld. It's complex. There's definitely an area with inconsistencies depending on the source.
And looping back to Yemma, that idea that the planet you die on matters.
Yeah, it really seems implied. Frieza talking about being in Earth's hell.
Yeah.
Yemma warning Goku about Frieza causing trouble outside Earth. It strongly suggests a kind of planetary jurisdiction within the other world.
It just shows how layered, and yeah, sometimes kind of contradictory this whole system gets when you look really closely.
Absolutely.
So stepping back from this deep dive. Wow. From King Yemma's cosmic bureaucracy and judgment.
The trial of Snake Way.
The unique takes on heaven and especially hell.
The clear divine ladder of the Kais.
All the way up to Zeno's reality-ending power at the very top.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball's cosmology, the whole structure beyond life is just incredibly vast and detailed.
It really is. And these places, these rules, they aren't just background scenery. They're so fundamental to the story. They shape the characters, raise the stakes.
They make you rethink life, death, justice, power.
Mm.
Reality itself in this universe.
Constantly.
And it leaves you with a pretty powerful thought, doesn't it? You've got King Yemma down below judging souls based on morality, deeds, maintaining a kind of order.
Rooted in bureaucracy, but still a moral framework.
Right, but then at the absolute peak, you have Zeno. Unimaginable power, but seemingly totally detached from that moral framework. Erasing universes just because.
What does that say about ultimate power and justice in the Dragon Ball cosmos? You have these layers of moral judgment, but the final absolute authority seems beyond it.
It's a really fascinating contrast right at the heart of how their universe is built.
Definitely deepens the world way beyond just the fights and power-ups.
It really does. We definitely encourage you to dig into the sources yourself, see what other connections and maybe contradictions you can spot.